I'm getting over a cold, but I'll try to stick with you guys. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it off with a really high-level definition of social media and how it pertains particularly to businesses. We're going to do a review of the 5 most popular channels currently being used by marketers. And I'm going to answer questions like how do you use it and how do you measure it. Along the way, I'm going to share some case studies with you to provide some proof in the pudding, so to speak. And then after, I want to help you get started, but also provide some cautionary tales and let you know what to be wary of when navigating through the waters of social media. So I'm going to jump right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is what is social media. And social media is really a group of internet-based applications which allow users to generate and exchange content. And that content could be photos, videos, comments, kind of other types of engagement. And in the context of a brand or company, what social media really boils down to is the reach, the relevancy, and the relationship that you develop with the customer. So the goal for the customer is to really understand how your brand or product fits within their everyday life, and then to build a brand-customer relationship around that. So you may use 1, 2, or potentially all 5 of these channels for personal use, but how you leverage them with business is quite different. I'm going to focus on these 5 major channels that most marketers are currently using. We're going to talk about how each social platform can be used and what its advantages are and disadvantages are for each. So to start, we're going to look at Facebook. I'm sure most of you know that Facebook is a peer network of friends, family, potentially coworkers, acquaintances, and the likes. And Facebook really allows you to follow brands, post pictures, comment, and create like activity. But Facebook also offers different services like groups, events, games, and personal messaging. Obviously, the biggest advantage that Facebook has is that it's the largest and most diverse social network of the bunch, meaning that you'll have the most reach on this social platform, obviously depending on what your demographic is. It's capable of highly detailed interaction that can really set the tone of your brand's voice in the social sphere. It should really be rich and meaningful engagement. The greatest disadvantage that you'll have on Facebook is that there's no content control. You really don't have control over what others are publishing about your brand or on your profile unless it's being monitored. The next major platform I want to touch on is Twitter. And Twitter is the 140 character user-generated comment stream. And those comments are adorably dubbed tweets. So Twitter allows you to post, share links, follow others, retweet, and engage in tweet chats. The advantage of this platform is that it's really effective for broadcasting. Very strong tool for live events, business conferences, but also that its small message size of just 140 characters makes the content very digestible. Sorry about that. On the flip side of its small content, though, it really gives you less depth to generate that meaningful conversation. Also, you need to keep in mind that a tweet's lifespan in a user's main screen is quite fleeting, and you're competing against a lot of others, and not just other brands. On my feed alone, you're competing against Procter & Gamble, Jimmy Kimmel, and my best friend Lindsay. So you've really got to grab my attention. The next platform I'm going to touch on is YouTube. So YouTube obviously is a share video. It allows you to share video content, comment, and follow different content creators. And the great thing about video is that they have a level of emotion. It gives you the ability to relate to people and connect based on different feelings like fear, concern, hope, or happiness. The biggest drawback, though, is that to produce something of quality, it costs a lot in terms of both time and money. So next up, we have Pinterest. So Pinterest has 48.7 million users, but it's often overlooked as a beneficial platform for driving inbound visitors to a B2B website. Pinterest is a graphic sharing platform that allows users to share content through themed-based collections, basically. And though it was originally designed for personal use, it's become very beneficial for visual businesses like interior designers, fashion companies, lifestyle magazines. And one of the drawbacks is that the bigger that Pinterest grows, the more issue the site is facing with copyright. They have been facing growing backlash from media owners and users over somewhat vague copyright kind of guidelines within Pinterest terms of use. But make sure your industry has a presence within Pinterest. Otherwise, there's very little value gained from creating an account. And the other thing is that there's a great barrier because Pinterest accounts are completely visual based, so you need to have a lot of visual content and ready to kind of produce on a daily basis. Next up, we have LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a network of about 135 million business professionals. It's a little bit of a different demographic from Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube. 64% of the users are male, and the average age is about 41, with a household income of approximately $110,000. So you're looking at a much more educated kind of demographic. And the network really includes people like small business owners, entrepreneurs, and corporate executives. I know that LinkedIn has definitely been criticized for being a little more than a recruitment tool for new employees, but there's definitely opportunities there, especially for people that are looking to network within their industry or identify different suppliers and vendors. So now that we've broken down the 5 most popular social channels, I want to note that they aren't separate entities completely. In fact, social media does really work best when all of those channels are utilized for one campaign with one message. So now that you know what the platforms are, I want to really share with you how you can use them. And there are 3 main ways that you can do that. So that's using a pull strategy, a push strategy, and engage and interact. The first one we're going to talk about is the pull strategy. So pulling really entails gathering demographic information, things like attitudes towards a different product or behaviors. Great thing about this is it's usually for free on social media. So you really have access to rich qualitative data that can yield different insights. And those insights will probably be applicable to your marketing communication strategies and not just digital or social initiatives. It also may provide you answers to research and development. And I'm sure most of you have taken part in a Facebook contest where you had to like a page or give permissions. And that's essentially what a pull tactic could be on social media. If you give us X, Y, Z, we will provide you with A, B, C. So I'm going to highlight a case study for you guys that kind of explains this. So for Nestle Baby, one of their brands, Gerber, was looking to create a Facebook application which was targeting mothers, which is perfect because a large demographic of mothers are on Facebook. And what their objectives was to create an engaging contest, but also acquire more likes on their Facebook page as well as email opt-ins. The contest worked where you would upload a photo onto the site. Different users could come in and vote. At the end, there was top 10 winners, and the grand prize winner got a monetary prize that was to go towards the child's RESP. There was a huge success, tons of engagement. In fact, there was concern that there was actually a bot liking the page at one point. What we did is we called into Facebook to find out what was just going on, and it turned out we just had an incredibly successful campaign. And it catapulted the page into one of the top spots for a brand page within the child and infant category. Obviously, that was a great win, but it wasn't the biggest win. The biggest win was the email opt-ins, which through a series of different surveys and questions added these new subscribers into a milestone program where we found out if the mom was a breastfeeder, a formula feeder, or used soy products. All this data was taken to appropriately target mom and baby through baby's first year of life. The second way we can use social media is for push. It's a really great tool to get your market ready for products you're about to be launching and shaping the customer environment. You can push your product launches, company initiatives, push stories of communities that you've helped and other successes within your corporation. This does really alter the way your current sales and marketing channels operate. You're able to push information in real time, and be reactive to the marketplace. Most notably, the most notable change is that you can push consumers to the information they need. You got to remember that you're no longer communicating through traditional marketing means, but you can speak directly to the consumer and develop a relationship. So if you're pushing information to the right people at the right time, that should lead to engagement, which brings me to my third use of social media, which is engagement and interaction. This type of marketing is not interruption marketing. You're not watching a sitcom and a commercial comes on. This type of marketing is really a two-way dialogue. It's a conversation, and it's the opportunity for you to humanize your company and associated brands, making them more tangible within the consumer marketplace. Users of social media now expect to be able to have these types of conversations with consumers, especially when they're faced with uncertainty or they have questions. If there's no conversation or only standardized answers, this could definitely lead to frustration and be, if at all, beneficial to either party. So I want to give you an example of Bowringer. They created a Twitter campaign that Twitter itself has highlighted as a success in pushing information to their targeted audience, and in doing so, creating valuable engagement with those consumers. So Boehringer, which is a pharmaceutical company, wanted to engage with medical media, pulmonologists, general practitioners, digital opinion leaders in a conversation about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease during the European Respiratory Society Congress. Before the conference, Boehringer used promoted tweets to highlight its planned tweet chat and encourage members of the press and medical community to take part. For those of you that don't know, a promoted tweet is when a business pays for its kind of tweet to be placed at the top of the search results on Twitter. Boehringer targeted their users with relevant interests like health and body, as well as people that had handles, which is kind of your username. So usernames such as BBC Health, Everyday Health, and World Pharma. They used the hashtag COPD chat to help users find and follow along with the chat. The other reason they use this is so that it could allow Boehringer to track and measure the reach and effectiveness of the campaign as it unfolded. During the conference, Boehringer again used promoted tweets and keywords and timelines to reach people with their content containing keywords like asthma, COPD, and lung disease. This was a way that it ensured their tweets rose to the top of relevant timelines and was front of mind for its target audience when they were most receptive. So the results were quite outstanding. They saw 2.79% peak engagement rate on promoted tweets, and that takes into account the replies and retweets and tweets of the total number of followers to date. And they had 1.7 million tweet chat impressions, which is the number of people reached in the overall volume of activity during the tweet chat. And they were also mentioned on the conference hashtag nearly 500 times on Twitter. So this was highlighted by Twitter as wildly successful, which also starts to beg the question, how do you measure social media, define the key performance metrics, and determine success? So there's definitely difficulties in trying to quantify the return on investment. Companies will most likely need to select some set of measure to track the impact of their effort and investment on social media. For example, determining the value of a Facebook like or a Twitter retweet may not be of equal value, and their value may also change over time or differ between products and demographics. It's unlikely you'll develop a clear-cut way to contribute your social media marketing efforts directly to sales. But that said, it may also be because you have multiple factors in your marketing mix, like email, SEO, print, events, and so forth. So now you're probably wondering, well, how do I get started? It seems so big and so chaotic and so many moving parts. Well, there's a few things that you want to kind of have answered and checked off your checklist before you start kind of navigating the murky waters of social media. So first you got to ask yourself, what are your goals and how are you going to determine if they're met? What do you want to get out of the social participation? Are you there for brand awareness, product launch, or are you looking to build relationships with your consumers and boost loyalty? The way that you answer those questions will greatly affect the type of content you publish and the activities you participate in on social media. Next is looking at your resources, and this is a biggie. Who's going to take this on? Who's going to create your content? Who's going to maintain your accounts? And who's going to respond to the questions and be the face of your business or products online? If you don't have the technical ability in-house to join the conversation, should you be outsourcing? So you need to be sure that you have the necessary people in place to execute on social media before you even start. Number 3 is your demographic. Who are they? Where do they spend their time online? Maybe they're only on Facebook. Maybe they're on Facebook and Twitter, or maybe they're not there at all. What kind of content and conversations does your audience expect from you? What do they get excited about, and what are they going to comment on? That's really important. And remember, you're not just publishing your marketing messages on social. You're looking to provide the type of content that consumers find useful and interesting. However, you also want to balance that with being very personable so that they actually want to interact with you. And on the topic of content, you need to create amazing content. You need to continually offer your audience remarkable content, and that could be in the form of conversation in order to build a loyal following. But you want to make sure that people can trust you as a source and meet their expectations and their needs. Next, you definitely want to make sure that you integrate your marketing efforts. All of your different efforts, whether they be online and offline, should cross-promote and feed off each other. Social media and your other traditional marketing efforts should really work seamlessly. Quality and not quantity. This is also a big one. A lot of people get really caught up in the number of followers or fans or subscribers they have, but it's really important to know that it's better to have 1,000 highly engaged loyal fans than it is to have 1 million followers who click to follow you but then never acknowledge your presence again. Also, come to terms with the fact that you won't have control over the content published by others. That said, if you're afraid or you're unsure of how you can make sure that you can manage what other people are saying, and therefore you've been staying off of social media, remember that social apathy or invisibility on social media is a bigger problem than the negative words that people are saying. And my last kind of tip would be to keep learning. Never stop listening, never stop learning. And for a successful marketing media mix, you need to make sure you remain flexible and accept that change, although it can be terrifying, is good. And so my last kind of words of advice would be what not to do on social media. So don't act as if you're the sole entity on social media. When you actually share other people's stories or other companies' content and engage on other pages and offer information and insight, you might realize that you become more visible in the social space. Don't spam your followers. Spam isn't just for email anymore. It's entered the world of social media for sure. Some forms of social media spamming to stay away from include unsolicited sales pitches, posting the same updates over and over and over again, or sending private messages after being asked to stop. Next, although promoting your business is likely why you're on social media, know that this is a much different network than other marketing tools. While you should definitely be sharing the value of your business, balance your self-promotion with promoting others or helping others. This will make your followers a little bit more receptive to your promotional posts, and your followers may be more likely to kind of pass your content on and forward to a friend. My last words of warning would be to be aware of the world around you. Sometimes you may lack timeliness and be very insensitive. For example, on the screen here we have the NRA, which is the National Rifle Association, sending a tweet saying, "Good morning, shooters. Happy Friday. Weekend plans?" And this was actually just moments after the Aurora movie theater shooting. So although this was a likely pre-drafted, pre-scheduled tweet, you've got to be careful. Scheduling posts in advance is awesome for time management, but it can definitely be devastating when tragedy happens. So with that said, I don't mean to scare you. I think what's important here is for marketers to really think outside the box, make a splash, and get innovative with their approaches to social platforms. Your legal team is there to support you, and your agency or vendors should be there to help you mediate the risks involved. And with that said, I'll wrap it up with a few key takeaways. So pulling information from social media, pull your consumers' attitudes and demographic information. It's usually free on social media. Push information onto social media. Push information, but push your consumers to the right information. With the combination of pulling and pushing, you should be able to get a good blend of engagement and interaction with your consumers and have that two-way dialogue. And remember that success truly does rely on reach, relevance, and relationship. Expand your reach to the right people and begin the conversation before others start talking on your behalf. So I really hope that I've helped you understand the opportunities that social media affords and the value of being engaged in creating relationships with your consumers. New technologies and platforms will definitely continue to emerge, and I'm not saying to embrace everything with open arms, but definitely take the time to understand them and discern the potential it has for your marketing agenda. Social media doesn't have to be extremely chaotic with multiple channels and multiple moving parts. It can be cohesive and is actually best used in that fashion. One campaign, one goal on multiple channels, integrated intelligently with email, SEO, and offline campaigns, but with also having your risk managed appropriately. With that said, I'm going to open it up to questions.
All right, thank you, Whitney. If you had any questions that you haven't put in yet, you can feel free to type them into the question bar on the side or tweet them at DME Webinar. We did get a few coming in, and just to be mindful of everyone's time, we'll just get to a couple of them. So the first one, should a company and brand be present on all mentioned social media platforms? Where should they start?
So this is a great question, and a lot of people feel like they need to jump onto every single platform. You simply don't need to. You need to be where your consumers are. If your consumers are on all social networks, then by all means be present on all of them with kind of a one voice and one brand tone. But if you're looking to market only B2B and you're looking to only hit a certain demographic, then maybe LinkedIn is the only place that you really need to be present. That said, a lot of CPG companies, anything that's more visual would definitely be beneficial for them to be on multiple platforms. So it's really just taking a look at your demographic and then deciding what is appropriate for you.
All right, this will be the last question we actually get to today. How can we minimize the risk of a user negatively flaming our brand?
So this is a big one. This really has to do with community management. As I mentioned before, you've got to determine if you have the resources in-house to mediate all of the comments, questions, and concerns. For every one person that loves your company and loves your brand, I'm sure there's two that are ready to throw it down the stairs. So you've got to be very careful and very aware of the different types of people messaging you and posting on your profile, but definitely just to make sure that you've got somebody, constantly listening in and protecting your page. You can always, a lot of larger companies, what they'll do is they'll create kind of a guide or a forum as to how people can talk on their Facebook wall, for example. Although people may not follow it, it gives you a little bit more reason to delete other people's negative words when they do pop up.
All right, thanks, Whitney. Any unanswered questions, we'll make sure we post onto our blog and put those links on our social media channels such as LinkedIn and Twitter. And for those who want to use this webinar content as a resource, we will be providing a full recording also on our social media channels later on this week, maybe tomorrow. And we want to thank everyone who took the time out to attend today. And if you have any further questions regarding social media, you can always feel free to contact us via telephone or email us at info@bigrate.digital.com. Thanks for attending and have a wonderful day.